Dear colleagues, good afternoon. I'm very glad to see that who are participants in our hall. I'm very happy to present our conference. Today we're presenting macroeconomical forecast for 2023-2024, and I would like to invite Evgeny Vinokurov, Chief Economist of the Eurasian Development Bank. Please, Evgeny, you're welcome. Good afternoon, dear participants, dear journalists. So today, for your attention, assessing the prospects for the development of the global economy and its impact of EDB's region and operations. And before to present our forecast, I would like to tell you our speakers who are in different countries, different cities. My name is Evgeny Vinokurov. I'm a chief economist of the EDB. Alexey Kuznetsov, he is a head of direction of analytical work. Aygul Berdigulova, she is a senior analytic center of analysts. And Anton Dolgovechny, he is a senior specialist of central analysis. So 4 people in a team. So I will start from external indicators. There are different trends on the the low down dramatically of the growth. And in 2024, it will be a little bit weak and slow. It is according to the Eurozone, to the United States, and also will be the weak growth in China. It is connected with the leading countries, with the developing countries. They have increased their rates in order to struggle with inflation, and it is fine to struggle inflation, but the other side, the problem with this is the low tense of the growth. And this is a fund where countries of our region, we have to live with it. We have to live with it in 2024. This fund is not so well. From the other side, when it was very good, we have forgotten this time. So in 2023, it wasn't so active last year, but the economic of Eurasian region have shown the very great results. The high increasing growth of our member countries in 2023 by our forecast contained about 3%. And the next year, it will be about 2%. Into the principle by the level of the temp of growth for the 15 years. It is very good work. And in 2023, the tempo will be growing more than average of the world statistics. So my colleagues will be giving the exactly analysis of all details of the bank, but I will tell you the story by Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is where's our headquarter, head office in our of our bank, whereas the half of generated of our portfolio. Kazakhstan has a story, the history, the solid fundamental story of the success. So next year, it will be, I think Kazakhstan will be increased for 5%. We're optimists. Our optimism, according to Kazakhstan, historically justified. When we are looking at the previous forecast and accordingly results when Kazakhstan economics showed, and that's why our forecast 5% only have EDB, but other financial organizations, they give this forecast much lower. But anyway, we're on our place. Kazakhstan, nowadays in Kazakhstan, the nowadays invest on bomb, this is external investments and very sustainable demand. That's why, according to Kazakhstan economics, we're very good optimist. And actually, in other economics of another countries, member countries, they're very good indicators and solid results, even instead of not so good external funds. And now I will be giving next speech to Mr. Alexey Kuznetsov in order to give micro forecast. Alexey, for your word. Good afternoon. Thank you, Evgeny. Dear colleagues, Now you will be seeing our presentation. Our presentation will be contained from two parts. First part, it's external economical conditions, and the second, it's a microeconomical forecast by country participants of bank. Let me start detailing about external economical conditions which happened in 2023, by final and forecast 2024 and 2026. So let me start from the global economy in 2023. If being briefly in two words, I'd like to tell that this is a week of business activity and the high increasing of the rate inflation. So there are a little bit becoming slowly. So it is going about 7% till 4% in the end of 2023. So I would like to tell that it is a bit higher, but the aim levels and previous 10 years in general. In my turn, I would like to tell that it required further rate of central banks. In 2023, we see that it was the struggle money politics, especially in the United States and the Eurozone. It has achieved some new rates. For example, in the United States, it was maximum for the last 22 years. So it was for the growth of the cost for the business population, and everything was going to the becoming weak of business activity in business. It is a bright example in this year in Eurozone, when the growth of the half year it was a zero, and the third quarter it was the first reflections. So the economics of the United States in 2023 has this tempo of this growth, but then it is very important to notify that it was a temporary row of the consumption. So statistics shows in the third quarter the positive influence of this economics. It has becoming shortage. So the volumes which gives the credit, they are going to decrease in the vacancies, and the shortage of the income of population have becoming decreased. The first example, which will be reflected to the factors, it is going with a high rate. So in this case, recession of the United States, it is possible to avoid, but anyway, to go out from the dramatically, it is kind of difficult. So China in 2023 demonstrates very confident the tempo, the indicator of growth, and it shows a very requirable character that in the beginning of 2023, it was cancelled COVID limitations. I think in China it will be increased for 5%. So I would like to tell you about our expectations in share economics. I would like to say that the inflation will be on the forecast of 2024-2026. And here, in spite of the low tendency of the rate, there is a lot of factors in the worldwide character, and it will be increasing of the maybe keeping the percentage rate. It is kind of impossible. So it's kind of factors. It is dependent on documentation of the world economics, which will be for the developing countries. It is very important. Yeah. So in this, I'd like to tell that inflation in developing countries, it will be more aimful for the whole forecast period. In this case, I would like to say that inflation will require the keeping on the increased levels. This is a trend for increasing percentage rate in the United States, and in Eurozone has complemented. And the stagnation in the United States will be a period more and more the cycle of the decreasing percentage rate. We consider that they will be starting in order to make this a weak and a lower, and about 4%, and ECB it will be 3.5%. On the slide, you will be seeing that the analytics forecast of the key factors in the second half of 2024. So I think the rate of FIRAS will be in 2023, 2024. It will be decreased, but their forecast, they have conservative forecasts than ours. We suppose that a little bit actively decreasing of rate, because we're explaining that it will be we are noticing of the keeping. So this is a structure factors influence it of the regulators. They will be going to the decreasing percentage rate in order to not to avoid this the falling down of economics. So according to this, by the forecast period, the percentage rate will be much higher than it was before. The population, business, they have get used to do, and they will be under the new level. I think it will be not so easy to do that, but anyway, the consequences will be seen some of the economical activity. So as a result, the struggle with the inflation will be the weakness of the business activity in different economics. So the high economical rate will be forced to the business, to the private sector, to the bankers as well. And as a result, it will be the demand of economics will be weak. So in our forecast, in our base scenario, we're expecting in the United States 0.7%. By Eurozone, we consider that the growth of the economics will be lower than 0.1%, and next year it will be about 0.9%. Separately, the negative factor for the world economics can be the next will be the low economical growth in China as well, as I mentioned before. Our forecast, it will be about 4% in 2024 and 2026. So in general, I would like to tell about the growth world economics by the forecast. It will be enough like fragile, yeah. So I would like to tell some new shocks will be lasted maybe, and it will be going to the low down. So how it will influence for our economic region? I think first of all, it will be the channel of will be connected with the will be export region goods. The secondly, this is the increasing of economical demand will be required to decreasing the world of raw materials, which will be reflected for the currency export countries of the raw materials. Generally, the risks, there are a lot of risks in the world economics. There are pretty enough. From economical risks, which they pay attention, I would like to notify. The first one is this is a risk of refinancing of developing countries, increasing of percentage rate. They increase the force of the all countries' loaners, and by this estimates and valuation, in order to refund the corporative debt in the nearest years, there will be the peak of refunds for the nearest years, especially 2024. And by this background, there are a lot of things and risks that loaners will be faced with dramatically obligations, but there will be no opportunity to take profitable refinancing. So in this way, keeping the high rate storage for the long-term horizontal will be the problem with a long-term business contract. Yeah. And this is like economical growth will be the regulator in the developing countries. They will be paid attention for their when they will be having a decision when they'll try to decrease of the percentage rate in the future, because the problem with debt, and this is a default of companies, the shortage of the crisis activity, and in general of world economics and the world demand.
The second risk that we have to pay attention, this is negative inflow of the direct foreign investments to China. And it happened the first time for the whole history of observations. Of course, to talk about the reasons and the consequences, it's too early to talk about, because this is just the one point and one value, and so therefore that means nothing. But nevertheless, we have to pay attention, and we have follow up the development of the history. And I would like to pass the floor to my colleagues, and they will share with their visions of the economic perspectives of the member states. Good afternoon. We'll start from Armenia, and Armenia, this is the second year just is leading the basis of the economic growth for the 22-23, and according to our GDP assessment, it will increase by 8.3%. In principle, it will be the continuation of the previous carry forward from the previous year. And this is the growth was facilitated with the scope of the cash remittance and high economic activity, and the crucial growth of investments and the construction. They supported the GDP. So these factors will continue to impact also in 2024, and we'll assess that the level of the inflow of remittance will be at the high level, and it will support the strong dynamics of the consumption demand of the services and trades. In addition, the budget policy, the fiscal policy, and the growth and the resumption of the activities at the oil fields will also support. And besides, perhaps we expect of the weakening of the monetary policy, and that will also facilitate the economic growth in the country. And we also forecast the growth for the amount of 5.7% at the level, and also and in the future also the growth will be 5% throughout the horizon. What's interesting in the Armenia, despite the economic growth, just in the country there is the lowest inflation rate, and it was 0.3%. And the next year, just inflation factors will start first of all. The high internal demand and growth of the import will have the inflation pressure, and we will have about 33.6% as of the end of the 2026. Nevertheless, the price growth will be lower than in the first 6 months. First of all, due to the inflation impact of the world prices to the goods, for the goods and the raw materials, and this is lower expectations. As for the refinancing rates, we expect the let's say dampening, and as of the end, we expect the decline of the rate at about 8%. As for this the rate, we expect the weakening in 2024, and also the average rate. You see the dynamics for 24. We forecast about 414 dram rate. And perhaps I just finished with Armenia, and I would like to proceed to Belarus. Thank you. As for the Belarus, what is important to note, the economics already adapted to the new conditions after the 2022 shock. We see the dynamic growth, first of all, due to the fact that we succeeded to align new supply chain. And also the second factor appeared to be internal demand that was crucially supported due to the extension of the issue of loans, crediting, and as a result in 2023, we see that the economy will grow about 4% plus minus 0.1, and in 2024 we expect some dampening of or deferring of the economic growth, and the main driver will be supported by the stimulating the monetary and fiscal policy. At the same time, the growth will be restricted with the defer of the prices and loading the capacity, which will limit the growth, and also due to the, let's say, shortages in the economy also will facilitate the growth. In 2023, the inflation rate in Belarus regularly renewed the historical minimum. One of the factors that we see over here, this is administrative regulation of the prices, and at the same time, just at the level of the high of the increasing of the ruble rate, we expect the inflation in 2024 just about 8%, and at this time just will be kept at the current level, about 9.5%. And we do not see prerequisites for conditions for declining. As for the Belarusian ruble, we forecast the, let's say, gradual weakening of the Belarusian ruble, and about 3.25 rate for the USD, which Belarusian ruble, that will be a worsening of the saga of economic operations. And also, I would like to proceed to come to the move to the Russian economics. Just the Russian economics, it was resumed in 2023, and in principle, in the third quarter of the 2023, we see that it is pre-crisis at pre-crisis level, and the economic growth pace we see about 3.1%, and the main factor was internal demand, and in 2024 we forecast that there will be the same impetus that happened in 2023, despite that the resumption cycle was accomplished, but finished. But a reorientation of the commerce to various directions will support next year. However, the monetary and fiscal conditions will be rigid and tough, and that will restrict and dampen the economic activity. And as for the 2025 and 2026, the economic growth is forecasted at the level of 1.5% in 2024. In the future, it will move to the trajectory of the balanced growth of about 2%. And still, the restrictive factors for Russian economics is the delivery of the products, investment products, the access to the technologies, which is important for background of the indexes and indices, and also the dampening factors at the labor factor. And also we forecast that the price grows up to 5.4% versus 2023, and we assume the main effects of the increase of the key rate will be in 2024. In the first 6 months, the inflation will be slowing down, but based on the expectations and stimulating budget policy based on the background of the pressure from the labor market will handicap the slowdown of the price growth. And as for the inflation target level, we expect up to 2025. And the key rate, according to our assessment, it will be slowing down, will be declined up to 10.5%. We will be very cautious with the approaches to the current situation, and we will mitigate the monetary and fiscal policy and just target on the price policy. And as for the Russian ruble rate, exchange rate, we presume that the average annual rate of the Russian ruble will be about 92.4 ruble per USD. We presume that the growth of the export inflow on the background of the weakening of the demand, it will facilitate the stabilization of the exchange rate. And I would like to pass the floor to Aygul Berdigulova. Thank you, Anton. Just let's see on the forecast outlook for Kazakhstan. The Kazakhstani economics this year just shows the stable growth, and it will be 4.8%. The key role here is the high investment activity plays the role, and the government just striving to improve the investment attractiveness of the republic, and we see the first results. In particular, the foreign investment inflows in the first 6 months of 2023, and also the government is also working on the implementation of 970 large investment projects for trillion tenge. And to implement just the objectives that have been set by President in September this year, just all these factors create good basis in order to improve the quality of the economic growth in Kazakhstan in the midterm. And based on this factor, we increased our assessment of the outlook for 2024. And according to our just assessment, it will be about 5%. In 2024, the growth point will be the high investment activity, and thanks to the governmental measures on the diversification of economy, on the improving the economic growth, the points of the economic growth will be moved to the processing sector in services, and we presume that in the mid-term the growth temps will exceed 5%. And the inflation in Kazakhstan just continue slowing down, and according to our forecast, by the end of the next year, it will be about 7% after 9.8% in 2023. The key role of the just slowing down, lowering the inflation is monetary and fiscal policy, and also additional investment impact just has the price pressures impact, and it creates conditions in order the base rate by the end of 2024 to be declined by 10%, up to 10%. And as for the forecast of the Kazakhstani tenge exchange rate, we do not see any just crucial changes, and we presumed in average for 2024 it will be at about 470 tenge, and at the beginning of the year just it will be a high base rate, and in the future further on as the prices, the marketplaces, prices of oil and the market Brent will be declined, and also the tenge will be declined. This is about the economic growth in Kazakhstan. Now let's proceed to Kyrgyz Republic. Kyrgyz Republic, the economics of the Kyrgyz Republic, they're coming back to the balanced growth rate. This year, according to our assessment, it will be about 4.6%, and mainly this slowdown is explained by the fact that the positive effect of the migration shock that we noticed in the fall last year have been, let's say, depleted, and next year it will be forecasted at the level of 4.5%. And at the beginning of the year, the high consumption activity will play a role in the economics, and also we presume that in next year there will be just a high investment activity due to the global support of the international financial institutions, and at the same time the consultation of the fiscal and monetary policy that will cool down the consumption demand and which balance, and also facilitate the economic growth in Kyrgyzstan. Also, inflation will be slowed down by the end of the 2024. It will be, according to our assessment, it will be 7.8%, and it will facilitate. It will be facilitated by the fiscal and by monetary policy, and also by decline of the prices for food and situation at the world market. As the first 6 months, the consumption demand will be very high, we will presume that the interest rate will be at the level of 13% and will be declined at the second half of the year upon the weakening of the pressure, and the sum will fluctuate, will be about 90 som per dollar, and there will be no crucial conditions for the volatility of the internal market, the domestic exchange market, but in the future it will be weakened. And let's now move to the Tajikistani economics. So as for the Tajikistan, so the economy increase is stable. There is stable increase. Just according to our assessment, there will be 5.2%. The key driver of the growth is high consumption activity, and due to the real money income increased, and cash income increased, and also high activity of the implementation of the investment projects by the government. The next year of the GDP growth will be up to 7.3%. This is related to the fact mainly that in Russia, which is a commercial partner, we see the slowing down of the economic growth, and due to the decline in the cash remittance to Tajikistan, and the inflation in Tajikistan this year was low, and on the second half of the year, it was strengthened at the level of the consumption demand. At the same time, it is kept within the frame of the target orientation of Tajikistan, as the high consumption demand is one of the factors which increase the inflation expectations. We presume that Tajikistan Bank, which increased the refunding rate, which will be 6.6%, and the exchange rate of the sum will be at the level of 10.9. Just at the final slide, we see the table. Yet you can see the indicators of the macroeconomic indicators, and I would like to say this is basic scenario, and I would like to say that the publication of the macroeconomic outlook, and also the presentation and additional supplementary materials to the publications are located on our site, both in Russian, English, and Chinese languages. And at the final slide of our presentation, you can see the QR code. When you just click on this, we will get the access to our materials. Thank you very much indeed for your attention.
So we would like to finish our presentation of micro outlook.